Okay, hey everyone. So I was just talking really, really passionately about the fact that we are able to integrate so many of these methods by which we can articulate ideas. What is it that makes America so special? What is it that makes it a society, a context in which life can be experienced, in which life can flourish, life can undulate, life is dynamic. It's allowed to be dynamic. We are allowed to have access to all of this transcendent information, but there's no organization of it. There's no coordinated, choreographed unification of all of these transcendent elements that are latent. They're existing, and we get to generate them. All of this new research about sleep and about the survival metabolic catalysm, not cataclysm, but catalyzing changes in our behavior that's generated from whatever the mind is, whatever consciousness is, whatever it is that's synthesizing, that has experienced the product of our central nervous system. Everything that we've felt, everything that we've seen, everything that we've heard has in some way influenced vibrationally. What's sound? It changes these waves of auditory stimulation from the outside world, from these invisible air molecules. What's gravity doing? It's changing the speed with which nutrients are delivered and with which toxins are evacuated, because it's affecting all matter all the time.
They had only 10 days for the ammunition. And in order to get them into the fight as fast as possible, their supply stocks had
There needs to be some time in which we're supported during this process.
the men called.
And it's being supported during this process that is promoting a unification of your respiratory system, a unification of your creative rhetorical system, your gesturing system, so your movements correspond to the content.
No one had any idea how long
And you're capable of standing still
the battle
and looking into infinity, but yet with your mind and your voice
second wave of Marines to go ashore.
being as much of a radio antenna as you possibly can be in broadcasting the synthesis and your human capacity for being a representation of real-time synergy.
Was the first wave, sitting, laughing at us.
The body and the mind are
No opposition.
one perfectly,
The first American
but how do we make them even more perfect?
trying to open a coconut. The Marines moved
It's through the perfect coordination of breath with thought,
a combat battalion.
which is the delivery, the perfect delivery of oxygen to the cells. It makes sense when you see the way that the atomic theory makes it better justified, better explained. Once you know that you're healing yourself,
Americans seized the
it becomes so much easier.
Henderson Field after for American planes. Hold the field at all costs. The enemy couldn't be allowed to retake it. Then the American fleet offshore was then
see all of this? This is both aligning and activating in the opposite ways. Your hand position, the mudras, the gang signs that you make, you can't make these if you're using a dumbbell. Thus, by doing open hand training, that's what's enabling you to activate these different sectors. The ventral sector, the dorsal sector, the inner contractive sector, the expansive sector. That's happening from the erector spina muscles, which are activating to open, or the inner pectoral attachments. You can raise your chest, you can flex. Think about flexing your sternum. How do you flex your sternum? By the inhale. What's your tongue doing while you're doing that? What are your eyes doing? What about the facial position? Are you looking up? There's all these different variations, and I guess what I'm suggesting is that I want you to explore them. Spend 3 or 5 minutes in an uncomfortable position. Not posturally. Posturally be more perfect, but do it under a cold shower or something. Because this is how you maximize your endurance of the cold. Once you control that parasympathetic natural response that's activating to the muscular tissue, the vascular tissue, the fascia response, and the positioning encourages a healthier response of the central nervous system, which means that you get a healthier reactionary production and a dissipation of those hormones that are produced, the adrenaline, the norepinephrine, as well as the dopamine and the cannabinoids that are produced to diminish the pain. Because it hurts. Isn't that great? You go to the gym and you hurt your muscles and you become stronger. The same principle applies with cold showers and lukewarm showers and hot showers. Everything has its time and place. What's your goal? Are you getting ready for sleep? Lukewarm. That is a time for healing, not for action. Now, there might be some benefits. I haven't heard of any long-term, wide studies. But what does the science show? What does the science help you integrate with greater confidence? That's really what it comes down to. What is it that gives you a sense of certitude in the applicability and the relevance of these techniques that are accessible and integratable and verifiable? Their validity has been verified. Just like an experiment. That information was derived from experiments. At a Wayne State study, they injected 50 people roughly with E. coli, and they all became nauseous. Many of them evacuated themselves orally. They all exhibited these signs of illness. There was a set that did Wim Hof breathing for 24 hours or 48 hours before that or something. And only one of that cohort, which was, I want to say more than 30, exhibited signs of illness. It boosts your immune system by causing more of them, more of those cells, those structures, those organelles within the cells, that deprivation, that high oxygenation that changes the body's pH. What is pH? pH is the willingness of water to join, or hydrogen ions to join with the other floating electrons, to draw those electrons in, because if they're free electrons, they're interacting with other cells, and they're testing their cell walls, which isn't going to cause a problem now, but over 50, 60, 70 years, you start to decay. We all start to decay. I'm decaying right now with each word and with each breath. I know I'm clicking off that counter. I'm clicking off this timer with each moment. So this is how you can click off that timer in an enriching way. Each one of those clicks is a moment of experience in that you are continuing this inner exploration for how to use your inertia, for how to choreograph your own Tai Chi form, your own uThrones form, and then present it. You see these principles? You're traversing the meridians, you're traveling through them at different dimensions.
Private Sid Phillips turned 18 on September 2nd. The next day, he got his first letter from home since he'd sailed from Guadalcanal. It was, he wrote back, the best birthday present possible for me.
Conform to the curves of your body, just like the universe and the galaxies conform.
Some American reinforcements.
Your body possesses those same capabilities, the same capacity for generating the inertia to follow those curves.
The Tokyo Express.
You get to move the black hole around
And reinforced as well.
to change them. So it's as if you're building on the universe. You are built on creating more and more complex structures to the point of reflective consciousness,
The Marines beat them back. Thousands of Japanese.
which is to say observational, conclusionary, and then itself alters the human environment. It changes the inventions that are made. It changes the philosophical ideas. It changes the technology. It changes the emotional understanding and the different catalysts with the new chemicals that are being created. It's all ways working in all ways.
Ground up.
And what do we need? We need detachment. We need a point from which we can see it.
The Japanese were not the only enemy. The stench of
And that comes from dispensing, absorbing the force of gravity through muscular awakenings, which is to say, a point at which, oh, I didn't know that I could
torrential
contract that muscle against gravity. I didn't know that just gravity was enough.
Clouds of mosquitoes spread malaria, leaving hundreds
The closer to your body you bring your hands, the less force is on these muscles.
Operation Shoestring had become
The closer your feet are to being underneath you, the less force your legs have on your pelvis angle.
ran a fever, wore stinking dungarees,
It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like this should
the
be.
U.S. Navy still existed.
Something that is awakening, but it's precisely that foreign nature of it, that foreign combination of muscles that have to be contracted.
On November 12th, the
That
Japanese
enables it to have this healing quality.
their forces and dislodging the Americans on Guadalcanal.
You're following the rectilinear
Smaller number of Americans
meridians sometimes, and then you're curving your way through them.
went on for 3 days and 3 nights.
And that's coinciding
You could see the cowboys and the ships, and you could see the naval
with
ships
your
going through the
O2 CO2 ratio change, the inhalation and the exhalation.
The Japanese didn't know who was winning or who was losing. Sometimes when a ship would explode, the concussion would actually flap your clothes miles and miles away. But we did know that our fate was being decided, and we would sit there sort of mystified and horrified by what was going on, because we knew thousands of sailors were dying on one side or the other.
So can you see this? I really think this is the future. This is the future. You couple this posture and with permaculture, and you're getting the inner perfection. You're getting the inner desire to achieve a more perfect society
Among those who died,
and a more perfect
5
individual.
brothers from Waterloo, Iowa, who all served on the cruiser Juno.
Thanks for watching.
Francis,
Evan with uThrones. Send me a comment below. I want to know you. I want you to start this process of finding the right uThrone, because it takes time.
and thousands of sailors.
You know, it takes time. If you want to donate, there's a uThrones fund that we're getting donations to build these for entire school classes. 30 low thrones, 10 mid thrones, and 2 podiums. One is a modular podium, one is a standard straight podium.
21,000 Japanese soldiers.
This is a PE class. This is a speech class. This is a class for
Guadalcanal.
everything. This is a class for life. This is a class for
After 6 long months, the Americans
practicing, the way in which you share those deepest parts of you, or something close to it. I have these moments and I'm like, oh gosh, I want to say this at city council. I want to say this to a young basketball team. I want to say this to some corporate leaders. I want to say this to the firemen and police departments union. I want to say this to the teachers in the world. I want to say this to the researchers in the world. I want to say this to the scientists and the politicians. Each one of these demographics elicits a different type of speech, a different type of synthesis over what they could be doing with their platforms and with their knowledge. And I know it's audacious for me to presume that I have that solution, but it's just mine. Test it. Listen to it. Try to come up with a better way of reconciling our human divisions, racial, religious, generational, economic, nationalistic, geographic, latitudinal, longitudinal, anything, cuisine, language. Everyone stands, everyone sits, everyone is aware of the chaos and complexity and variety, and they can't reconcile it.
More than 1,700 Americans
Thus,
had died.
something gets objectified
Another 4,700
as being
were wounded. And
on the
thousands
outside,
were seriously injured.
beyond this. That which is not identified by this singularity of the human mind. wherever they fall. There's always going to be some. Most of us are that way. That's the nature that we're transcending. That's the power of posture to reinforce that or to combat that in a new way. And this is that new way. This is the new support. You can take this anywhere. There's mobility. This is the fusion of untechnology with the highest, the greatest, the most empowering technology. Let's get you a set, okay? Let's get you a set. I've got measuring tapes around here, so let's get you a set. Thanks for watching, y'all.